Hi everyone, this is Marianne and welcome to a series on my channel called 5-Minute Book Talk, in which I take roughly 5 minutes to talk about a book that I have read while I flip through the book. And today I will be talking about the novel Butter, written in Japanese by Asako Yuzuki and translated into English by Barton. The original Japanese version was released in Japan in 2017, but the English translation came out only in 2024. I have the Kindle version of the English translation here, and I even filmed myself silently reading this book on my channel. I will link that video in the description box. The novel is set in Japan and is about a female journalist named Rika and her own process in acquiring the details of the story about a female serial killer named Manako Kajii. The character of Manako Kajii is based on the real-life female serial killer in Japan named Kanae Kijima, also known as the Konkatsu Killer. The Konkatsu Killer was convicted in 2012 for killing 3 of her male lovers in the years 2007 through 2009. But before I continue talking about the book, I must warn you that this video will have spoilers. So we have Rika as the main character who, like I said, is a journalist who wants to write a report about the life of Kajii, who was already incarcerated at that time. The case is already well known in all of Japan at this point, but Rika wanted to write a feature profile on Kajii, sort of like a deeper look at the person, not at the crime. The mystery of Kajii is that she wasn't even pretty and she didn't have the ideal body shape. She was on the chubby side, but she still managed to make grown rich men fall for her and give her so much money to fund her lifestyle. In other words, she did not look at all like the traditional femme fatale of pop culture. She looked very homely and was very domesticated and cooked very well. That was the mystery of Kajii that Rika wanted to investigate. So to do this, she had to talk to Kajii herself face to face while Kajii was in prison, and because Kajii was legendary for not granting any interviews, Rika had to devise a way to get Kajii to get her to agree to an interview. Rika told her best friend Raiko about this, and Raiko suggested that Rika write to Kajii about food, and Rika did that, and it worked. So that's how the novel started, with food. And that theme of food is retained consistently throughout the entire novel. And I have to say, the food sounds so lovely. I think the author is very good because food is not easy to write about in a novel. There are no actual recipes in the novel, but we can almost see and taste the food the way the author wrote about them. And the book is titled Butter because butter is the favorite ingredient of Kajii for preparing food. This novel has a few layers. On the topmost layer is Rika's quest to investigate and write about the life of Kajii, and on the layer underneath it is food, traditional Japanese food and also Western food adjusted for the Japanese palate, and a fusion of Japanese food with food from other cultures. And then there is a layer of adult but lonely men who want to be mothered, taken care of, and cooked for, which Kajii understood so well and was very ready to give, but at a very high price, literally because those men gave her millions of Japanese yen. She profited off the epidemic of loneliness plaguing mature, rich men who were a little bit immature and infantilized. And still, there is also another layer that deals with how Japan views women on the basis of their physical appearance and their behavior in public. And then there is also the layer about the private matters regarding marriage in Japan, which is ruled by a combination of traditional Japanese beliefs on marriage and the growing concept of modern gender roles. The commentary is very, very subtle, but I think the author managed to get through, to me at least. I mean, I got her point. But the author does take her time saying all of these because the novel is quite long. Rika goes through so much in the course of her investigation. Her best friend Raiko also goes through an ordeal because she had secretly gotten caught up with Kajii herself. And all around them, they also had their own personal relationships to deal with, as well with family, spouses, partners, workmates, and such. That is pretty much contemporary life, I think. Everyone is struggling with multiple different things at the same time. I can completely relate with that. I actually bought this novel for my Kindle almost right after the launch, I think, but did not start reading it until my own Japanese language teacher recommended it to me when we were talking about novels that we were recommending to each other in English or Japanese or both. And Butter really is a good novel. The portrait painted of Kajii is very nuanced because no one becomes a serial killer suddenly. Some depravity must have started growing inside them at some point, which makes them a serial killer. In real life, the Konkatsu killer really did kill those men, but in the novel, Kajii might not have killed anyone at all. This novel was effective in making me think of that. You should read it.